Okay. Hello, Internet. This is Umber Dragon again. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to run Sariniya's Curse. All right. And Sariniya's Curse is introductory adventure for Mythras, which was once RuneQuest 6. And if you are interested in playing this game, it's got 4 pre-made characters, which I would use instead of your own, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong in this adventure right away. I mean, just word up, you could probably lose a character right away. So instead of doing that, I would just go ahead and use the pre-made characters, and that would be great. So you won't lose anything. So if you want to play this game, basically you're going to end up on a ship and you're going to go on a voyage, and there's an adventure. So there's a prophecy involved. And so if you want to play this game and you're a player, at this point there will be spoilers because I'm going to show how to run this game and some of the things that are involved, especially for new players, new game masters that are unfamiliar with Mythras and its system, and how to go about getting this game prepared and getting ready to run Sariniya's Curse. So if you think you would like to play this game, or you'd like to start learning how to play Mythras and have your game master run this introductory scenario, go ahead and shut this off and point your game master this direction, so they can go ahead and learn how to run this. And maybe you guys will have a lot of fun. Maybe not. I don't know. It depends on a lot of factors here. But I would definitely try to have fun, whether or not you got a total party kill or not. But real easy to do if it's not handled correctly. So that's my word of warning. Okay, so like I said, there will be spoilers. You don't like that, then walk away. Walk away now. Okay, so Saranaya's curse begins with a guy named Trimosthenes. All right, and he is an old merchant. He wants to remove a curse because he's in a line of people that attacked this island called Iaxos, and the people that were there were rebels from the city of Miros, or that republic that was in power at the time, and they got slaughtered, and so they put a curse on him, praying to the god Sariniya, and so his family has died an early death, um, all along his family history, and so he wants to lift this curse, and so he wants to go to Axos and do this. So he hires the characters. The part of this game that starts out with no hooks or anything. Uh, the beginning is there's it starts on the ship, so the characters are already on the ship. They're gonna get 300 gold pieces or silver pieces, no matter what they do. Okay, so it doesn't matter. There's no reason to adventure. There's no plot hook or anything that needs to draw them. They're already on the ship, right? This ship has got oars, right? It's a long merchant ship. It's got lots of room. I'm sure there's like 30 oarsmen more or less rowing this thing, and so they're already out at sea. So that you start immediately into the movie, basically the story, right? So the story opens up and they're already on the ship. Okay. So before this, I would go ahead and prepare with each character um, what each of their characters can actually do, pointing out where their skills are, what kind of magic they can use, because most of them can use folklore. All right, so you're gonna have to explain how folk magic. I mean, folk magic. Most of them have folk magic. You're gonna have to explain to them how folk magic works. There's also one character who is a theist. You're going to have to explain how theist magic works. And she's going to have a set of spells, which I would just go ahead and say, write down 3 or 4 spells that you like, okay? And I would go ahead and keep those spells handy on a sheet, on a separate sheet, because it's not something that's provided in the actual character sheet, okay? So I would go ahead and get all that set up ahead of time. Help them understand a little bit about what their characters are able, that their characters are able to use luck points, where their combat style is going to be, and some of the more common um, skills, right, on their standard skills list, right. So they're already in action, right, in situ. So we start with, it's a beautiful day at sea. You know, the birds are following the ship, and there's, the sails are full, fair winds in a following sea, and dolphins are leading the way. And so Tremasines decides to talk to the characters and actually tell them where he's going, because up to this point he hasn't told them where they're going, right? They just know they're going on a journey. And so he starts to tell them, hey, I'm going to the island of Iaxos. Well, as soon as he says this, right, the crew, being superstitious like all sailors are supposed to be at this time, I don't know why that is, but they're all superstitious. Like in every fantasy game, they're all superstitious. So these guys are superstitious, right? They're supposed to be cannibals on the island, which there are. So I mean, there's reason to worry about that. But people that have gone there have been attacked. Not too many people have made it off the island. So yeah, there's reason to worry. We're gonna go to Axos. Hey, we're not getting off at Axos. That's crazy talk, right? So, anyways, at this point, if they want to learn more about Iaxos, right? I wrote down. I didn't put their names here, right? But I just kind of wrote their first initials, right? So that's Mew, that's Samothus, that's Kara, and that's what's her name? Amarthane, or whatever her name is. Those characters that are pre-made, right? And these are their locale numbers, right? Kara could also use Mirish Gods, um, but it's at 38. She could use that also to learn about Iaxos, because Sariniya is located on Iaxos. Her basically her big statues is located on Iaxos, and so she would probably know that. But it's not common knowledge, so since she has Mirish Gods, she'd be the only one that would be able to use that. However, she has a 38. I think she would just rather use the 40 and roll locale. Okay, so you let these people roll locale, and you can give them all the information about the island that you want to, right? So go ahead, do that, and then you start to inform them about the island, tell them what it's about, a little bit of history about Sariniya, and why those people are there, and why Sariniya is there. She's a goddess of retribution, right? But then after she took revenge, now she's a goddess of peace, right? But most people are not focusing on that anymore. They focus on revenge. So that's pretty much that. All right. So once you do that, it's going to take a little while. You can give a little bit of pause there, a little bit of role playing opportunity. But then there's a mutiny, right? There's 3 guys that come up, and they're like, Tremasines, right? We're not going there, right? And we think it's a bad idea, and they want a mutiny, right? So you give Tremasines a chance to use his influence against the mutineers' willpower. Okay, if this is an opposed test, so what that means is they have to roll less than their actual numbers. So Tremasines has a 70 for his influence, and the mutineers have a 22 for willpower. So they can't roll over that. They have to roll under that. But whoever rolls the highest and still maintains within the success numbers will win this opposed test, right? And so a success by Tremasines will lead to an arrest of these three guys, and then he doesn't want anybody talking to them or anything like that. If he finds anybody talking to him, he's going to basically, he's threatening, like, it's going to be worse for you if you talk to them than what I've done to them. Okay, so a failure is that these guys want to try to take over the ship. A fumble on Tremosthenes' part involves an attack on Tremosthenes himself. Okay, at this point, you're going to roll initiative, right, and go into combat. However, you kind of want to avoid combat, but if it does happen, because Tremosthenes is a 70, that's pretty high. He's probably going to succeed and just arrest these guys. All right. However, if there is a fight, you need to go into the combat, and go ahead and take a look at the combat section before you get started. So you're going to have to prepare for that. And go ahead and start combat. And you might look at pulled blows, right? So this way there's no lethal damage. You know, there's only half damage. So this way, if they bring them down to 0, they can, or if they take them down, you know, they get hit for any damage, right? Then these guys could probably go, okay, we've had enough. We give up. We're not going to, you know, because we got Samothrace, all right, on your side. That guy's, pardon my saying, but that guy's Billy Badass when it comes to fighting. And that guy's just the big fighter. He's the tank. So you don't want to mess with him. And he'll easily overpower just about any one of these guys. Very easily. So that's what happens there. Okay, so they continue their journey onto Iaxos, and when they get there, they have to actually row the boat there. I don't know why they're doing this, but they're basically have a high chance of failure here. Their boating, they want them to roll their boating skills. So Anathame has a 24, Kara has an 18, Mew has a 24, and Zamanthus has a 22. All right. So if they fail, right, you only do this once. Don't do it several times, right? Just once for each one. All right. It takes them 15 minutes to get to the island. However, if they fail, they add 5 more minutes. So fail. So 5, 15, right? 20, 25, 30, 30. It would take them up to 35 minutes to get to the island. I don't know if you want to role play that or not. Just do the numbers. But if they fumble, right, they capsize the boat, and then they have to swim. Okay, so if they have to swim, here's their swimming numbers. Right, I already got these numbers pulled out because I have to be prepared if they have to swim. Right, I don't want to have to look for all this stuff. Right, because they might be a little confused. Give them a chance to find it first, but know that you have the numbers. All right, so this way you're confident and you know exactly what you're doing. And so now they have to swim. If they swim, it's going to take them 30 minutes more to find the beach where the characters are at. All right, so if they fail their swim, right, they end up somewhere else. And it takes them 30 minutes to make it to the beach. All right. Tremosthenes is going to make it to the beach no matter what, with or without the characters, whether they swim or not. So he's good. All right. So don't worry about him. Don't make any rolls for him. He's good. All right. Once they get to the island, there's an overland trek. All right. So this overland trek involves 3 different rolls every single day. So there's 2 days. All right. There's 1 day you roll all 3 things, and then there's a camp out, and then the next day you roll all 3 things, and they finally reach this temple that they're looking for, right? So they have to make a hard athletics roll or a standard survival roll, okay? And if they make their roll, they take 1d3 damage to random locations. If they don't, then they take 1d4 to random location, and they are also going up against endurance, right? They got their endurance, they got to roll their athletics or their survival, and then they got to roll perception. So endurance first, right? If they fail, they're winded. If they fumble, they are tired. Okay, and so they suffer hard penalties. And even then, they still have to make their athletics roll. If not, they got to make a survival roll or take damage from the natural environment. They're getting cuts and bruises from the rocks and the stickers and the thorns and all kinds of stuff that are on this island. Zamothis has got this, right? His endurance is 66, his survival 77. He's got this, all right? And then there's a perception roll, okay? You can go to page 38 and it'll tell you about skill rolls and difficulties because you're going to have to decide whether you want to do 1/3 or a straight 20%. I use 1/3 for hard because if you do 30%, you can see that if you do 30% to Kara, she's in the negative already, right? So then I just do 1/3 of her numbers or everybody else's numbers as well. So I think it's a lot easier that way, even though you just need a calculator. Okay, you just plug in the numbers. It's a lot easier. Okay, so once you do that, you they pass their perception test. That means that they know that they've been followed. Okay, so that's the first day. Second day, eyes in the night. I mean, at the night when they before the second day they have to rest, right? And if they decide to go after these guys, right? Because these guys are going to move in closer and closer and closer, and so there's going to be another perception test for the savages and the characters. So this is also difficult at -40, which is formidable, or half, right? I'd rather do half because -40 for Anathame is going to put her in the negative numbers, right? So I just go half. So half of 28 is 14. She has to roll. This is an opposed test between the savages and the characters, right? The savages have a stealth of 35. They have to roll 35 or less to stay hidden. And the characters have to roll underneath their numbers, which is at formidable. Anatheme is a 14. Kara is a 22. Mew is a 39. And Zamothis is a 38. Now, as soon as these guys are spotted, they're supposed to take off. And if you want to run after them, then you gotta do a hard athletics roll to go after them, right? Or you can take a pot shot, with the ranged weapon. Anatheme has a sling, Mew has a bow, so does Zamothis. They both have bows. It's still going to be at night, right? And so their combat skills are here, right? Zamothis can shoot that bow at 65. Mew can fire his bow at 41. Anatheme can shoot her sling at 55. Okay. If they want to make that hard athletics roll, it's going to be, let's see, I believe it's right here. Yes, the hard athletics roll to chase him for Anatheme is 30. For Kara, it's 36. For Mew, it's 51. Is that right? And for Zamothis is 39? I don't think so. Yeah, it is. It is, because I did that before earlier. Okay, so that calculation was already made. Alright, so if they catch one of these kids, right, then they can use them to guide them to the place. And, I mean, it's not really here nor there. They just add some flavor if they catch somebody. Then you got to run this overland trek thing again. You got to run endurance, the athletic hard, or the survival. And then I believe there's another perception roll to notice that you're being followed. Okay, again, right? And you end up with, if they fail, they're winded. If they fumble, they're tired. Okay. And if you're winded, you suffer a hard penalty to all your rolls. If you're tired, you also lose a movement. Okay. If you're winded, you have to rest for 15 minutes before you can get back to normal. If it's hard, I think it's something like an hour, 3 hours, or something like that. So if you're tired, so you're gonna have to rest even longer. All right. So once that's there, there's even one more thing that can kill your characters, and that is this death trap. Okay. That's what that last perception roll is for. Okay, that last perception roll is against a 64. The 64 is the actual trap. Okay, if you fail that perception roll, then you have to roll against your athletics, your acrobatics, or evade to avoid falling in the trap. Okay, supposedly, if you make this roll and you fail this perception test and you make this roll here, okay, you only get damage to one location for 1d6 plus 1 points of damage. Okay, that could kill you. If you fail this athletics roll, so you fail the perception roll, you fail the athletics roll, you will also take 1d3 locations will take 1d6 plus 1 points of damage. So success is one location for 1d6 plus 1. A fail is 1d3 locations for 1d6 plus 1. That could be up to 3 locations for up to 7 points of damage in each location. This can kill your character. Because not only do you fall in here, but there's also a snake in here. Okay? Which is not good. Because the snake is poisonous. It puts you to sleep, right? Then you suffer bites from the snake. Not cool. So this could kill you. This could kill everybody, right? Except for Tremosthenes. He's not going to die. He's going to make it no matter whether the characters make it or not. All right. So we have all this, right, to take care of. I got all the numbers. I know what I'm doing so far. And that leads us to the actual Fist of the Gods, or Fist of Gods, what they call it. So when you get there, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. All right. First is the prophecy. Okay. One day, an old man of Mythras will come to break Sarinya's power. All right. However, the seer, or the witch doctor that's there, her name is Oora. She murdered the last witch doctor and took her place. And so the last witch doctor lied to her and said an old man of Mythras will come to confirm Sarinya's power. Okay, so there's miscommunication about it, what's actually going to happen there. So you have the prophecy. All right, they've been following your characters all this time, right? And when they get there, right, you have the map of the place, all right? And you end up with this part right here. This is actually that little temple, right? Room number 3 and room number 4, okay? Now, she has 16 people in this place. And here's where everything can go wrong. Here's where the proverbial stuff can hit the fan. Because if you don't handle this right, it could be straight into combat. People can die. Your characters can die. Maybe not Samothrace. He'll probably live. He'll escape somehow. But the rest of the characters can die really easy, especially Kara. She is not a combat person. She needs to stay out of combat. Anytime there's a chance for melee, she needs to stay away from melee. She's a ranged person. She needs to stay ranged. She needs to stay out of the way. Otherwise, she's going to get hurt, right? And you don't want her to get hurt. She also has a couple other powers. You probably need to read the last part of this section because there's a few more things. But I'm going to break it down to a nutshell. Just, what's going to happen. Okay, so the first part is there's like a courtyard that's open to the sky. And it leads to the rest of the temple. Okay, that's the easiest place to come in. I would not use number 7 to allow Mew to come in by himself. Because then you split the party. You got one guy doing his thing and everybody else is going to get captured. And there's not much he can do. Maybe he can help rescue the party a little bit later. Because they will get captured. The whole idea is to capture them, right? There's an antechamber in room number 2, which is Shrine of an Elephant God. It's an old god. It's been there since before Sarinya's statue got there, and there's a trick to that place. It causes an earthquake if you decide to destroy the statue. All right, the earthquake can probably bring the whole place down. That's one option of ending this whole thing. And you also have the temple. All right, you have to kind of piece all this together. It says that she has 16 warriors that she has control of. I put those little green dots. Those green dots are warriors, and I placed them there because I'm like, okay, these guys have to be somewhere. They can't all be bunched up. So I kind of put them like they're standing guard. All right, you have Oora, right? She's standing where this red dot's at, and she sees the characters. She knows they're already coming. She knows that they're going to get captured. She's happy, right? You want to describe her, and you want to describe this place as best you can. It should be sunset. So there's very little light coming into here. So there's torches. There's fish oil lamps. Okay. You can see the plinth back here where you can see Sariniya's statue, right? And there's columns, right? If they see the columns and they start asking, I don't know why they would ask about the columns, because if you don't bring any attention to them, you just say, oh, there's columns all around here. They may not say anything. Or these columns decorated? Yeah, they're decorated with, all kinds of stuff. All right, they have to look at a very specific one that shows the sacrifice and how it's done for them to do a hard willpower roll, okay? If they do a hard willpower roll and they fail it, then they basically go crazy and run in terror because they understand now at this point that the rumors of cannibalism are real, okay? So that these people really do participate in cannibalism. Right, and that becomes something of a terrorizing effect for the person who looks at the one column, right? I don't know how they're going to do that. I wouldn't draw them to it. I mean, it has to kind of happen naturally, but maybe over the course of time, they start to notice more details, and maybe that's what brings into that. But if they're tied up, they can't run anywhere, right? Or if they're being held prisoner, they can't really run anywhere, okay? So, I mean, it's just kind of weird that's there, and I don't know how that's going to work out, but you figure it out. Let it play out and see what happens, okay? The rest I don't worry too much about, because back here on this side going that way, you have the antechamber and the bedchamber, okay? The antechamber is basically her lady den, right? Where she hangs out, and they feed her grapes and all that stuff while she's laying down chilling out, and she has a chamber where she goes to bed. That's on that side. And then over on the other side, you got the outer temple, right? The communal hall back this way, right? If you keep going this way, you got the communal hall, which is a big area over here, right? And then you have the cold storage where they hang the bodies, right? So you go that way, and those people can't do anything because it says everybody else is not going to be involved in combat. They can't do anything because they're too weak, right? And then you have the balcony, which is on this side. Now the balcony has a small adjustment, right? It has a 30-foot drop off that balcony. That's a good place to start throwing people off, right? Because they're pretty much going to die if they fall 30 meters to the ground. And that is the outer temple. I wish they would have gave some more detail to that outer temple, but basically you just cut off the map there. They tell you it's an outer temple. All right, so there's obviously on the ground some stuff there to do the outer temple, right? So once all this happens, right, here's a couple of things to consider. Trimosthenes wants to reach the temple. He wants to placate Sariniya. He wants to lift the curse, and he wants to prevent his death. Remember that all this time he is dying, right? So he's hurt. He's normally a pretty healthy guy, right? Even though he's like 63 years old or something like that. But he's still very athletic and, in good health, except for that this curse is actually killing him. All right, so he wants to lift the curse, and he's willing to do that. Oora, excuse me, believes the prophecy is that he will come to confirm Sariniya's power. She wants him to be her husband or marry him, or she wants to enslave him, one of the two, and keep him around basically as a sex slave, I guess. She's pretty happy that he's here, right? She sees him as an idiot basically, and that he will do her bidding sooner or later, right, because of her powers. However, she's not exactly sure about this, so she wants to continue offering sacrifices, right? So basically she wants to capture the characters, okay? She wants to keep offering sacrifices so she can ask the goddess Sariniya what the actual curse is, what the actual prophecy is, right? And she's going to get an answer, right? Because this is actually, a fantasy game, and the gods will answer, right? So she's also going to animate this statue and have it dance around. So the people out here are also going to come out and dance around, right? While she's making sacrifices to Sariniya, and while they hold the characters prisoner, and she's trying to come up with an answer. All right, that's what's supposed to be happening. She also wants to remain in power. She wants to take revenge for the past that had happened. The reason those people are there is because of the slaughter that happened earlier. I don't know how many years ago, but many, many years ago. And so they vaguely remember this, and they still want to take revenge about it, right? And then she wants to take the player characters and feed them to her tribe, right? So she wants to remain in power. She wants to enslave or marry Tremosthenes, and she wants to sacrifice the PCs to her people, right? Because they are cannibals, all right? So, however this plays out, there's a few different options, right? You could dispel magic. Well, Kara can dispel magic on the statue. The statue has 4 faces, and a strategy or tactics roll will reveal that if you attack her from one side and another side, it basically causes her to stand still. And so someone can basically knock her over into this pool, which is dried, right? It's supposed to be full of blood stains, right? It's no longer full of water, and dump the statue in there where it breaks. That'll break the curse. Or if they kill Oora, that'll break the curse because the magic stops. And Sariniya's statue goes back to a statue instead of an animated statue. It stops moving, right? And is frozen. And so basically, if they understand all this, right, they follow her out of fear, right? And so that's basically why they keep doing what they're doing. And so they fear her power. She wants to keep that going. And you're just going to have to figure out how to play this out, and how one of the characters can either escape, or maybe they can get to the elephant room, or they can shut down the magic that Ura's using, or maybe they can kill her. Okay, so this is the part where everything can go crazy, where there could be a total party kill, or they could finally end up defeating Oora without much bloodshed on either side, and they can make their way off the island, back to the ship, back to Mythras, and they will get their money plus a bonus if Tremosthenes lives. If Tremosthenes dies, right, then there's gonna be hell to pay, because his kids are gonna be like, what the heck's going on? Anyways, that's the whole deal in a nutshell. That's how to run Sariniya's curse. I made these little index cards to help me along. You might want to try that. That may or may not work for you. It works for me. So for me, I'm just like, okay, this is gonna work. I need to have these numbers. I need to have this kind of like filled out, so I know exactly what order these things are going to happen. I need to have the numbers ahead of time. So this way, if they're searching around for numbers, I got them. I can just tell them what number to roll. But I am going to give them a chance to find the numbers. I also have it down to, okay, here's the prophecy. Here's their motivations, right? Here's what I don't have to worry about, right? I mostly have to worry about this stuff, right? The shrine of the elephant, the temple, okay? Maybe the outer temple balcony, okay? And this should all come together. And when you're done, this should take 1 session, I'm thinking. It might run into 2 sessions. I don't think it should, but it might. So, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them down below. I'll try to answer them all. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and you'll be able to go ahead and run this and make it look like you wrote it yourself. So have fun gaming, and I'll see you again. We'll try to cover combat and magic in the future, and maybe a couple other things. All right. Have a great time. Talk to you later.